Hey there, creepy peeps, and welcome to another Exhumed movie review. Today we are talking about The Birds. Directed by Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds follow socialite and practical joker Melanie Daniels, who pursues lawyer Mitch Brenner to a small Northern California town as a joke. Soon after her arrival, however, birds start attacking citizens of the town with no explanation. I will just say, before we get into the bulk of this video, I have seen this movie, definitely. I've seen it multiple times, and this is one of, I think, less than 5 movies that I've seen before I make a wait, no, how am I trying to say this? This is one of a very small number of videos I've made on a movie that I've already seen, or a review of a movie I've already seen, if that makes sense. Usually when I post a review of a movie, it's something that I saw for the first time that week or something like that, you know what I mean? Apparently, Alfred Hitchcock had already purchased the film option for Daphne du Maurier's The Birds when he had heard accounts of a flock of 1,000 birds that came through a chimney in La Jolla, California. And apparently that news story that he had heard, or those stories that he had heard, kind of reminded him that he had the film option for this, and that reminded him to make this movie, essentially. One big criticism of the movie when it came out, however, was the lack of explanation given as to why the birds are acting the way they are. 2 quotes from the movie like really kind of cut to the point for me, or at least just how I interpret what's happening. The first is from Mitch, who says something to the effect of like, it's happening, isn't that reason enough? And the mother in the diner, who shouts at Melanie and the others when they're discussing why the birds are doing what they're doing, she kind of chastised them and says like, you're all here debating, why don't you do something, or something like that. And to me, that kind of is the point of the movie. Like, to me, it feels like Alfred Hitchcock is telling the audience, don't worry about the explanation, just watch the movie. Like, just let the story take you for a ride. Don't try and rationalize what the birds are doing. And both characters, who I just mentioned, are suggesting that they just protect themselves, get away, do whatever they have to do, and don't waste time standing around trying to figure out why the birds are doing it, because maybe it won't even help, you know, you'll just know why, but you won't be able to do anything because of that. So here's a theory. Like I said, this is one of not very many movies that I have made a review on where I've seen the movie multiple times over a long period of time. I had read an interesting explanation about the birds, so I decided to kind of like rewatch it with this idea in mind. So the explanation is birds are more or less like attacking because of Lydia, kind of. I'll get into it. So I'm gonna read a quote here from Horror Films FAQ by John Kenneth Muir. So he writes, the Mitch-Melanie couple is considered an unnatural and inappropriate relationship in Lydia's eyes, and thus is the very factor that causes the sudden and alarming upending of Mother Nature. There's also mention of a full moon in the movie. There's one scene where Lydia is kind of trying to rationalize, like, maybe one of the birds flew into the window because it was dark and they couldn't see, and Melanie says, but it's a full moon out. Moon is a common symbol, or it's commonly representative of female and motherly energy. Then we have, you know, our mother character in the movie is Lydia, who is super overprotective of Mitch and very critical of Melanie and very wary of the fact that they seem to like each other. So almost all of the bird attacks in the movies happen after some sort of moment of like flirtation or attraction with Mitch and Melanie. So the real first one of note is when Melanie pulls her prank. She delivers the lovebirds and she starts to, you know, escape back across the lake, or whatever it is, the bay. I said a lake, it's called Bodega Bay, the town, it's a bay. And Mitch sees her and he drives around to meet her at the dock, and when she gets closer, they kind of share this look. It's like a cute little flirtatious look, and then all of a sudden this gull swoops down and claws at Melanie, making her bleed from the head. Another really good scene too. There are others, but there's another really good scene too after the diner attack, that whole like chaos that ensued there. So Mitch and Melanie escape back into the diner, and they're walking hand in hand through the restaurant when they find all these women hiding in the hallway. They all stare, just like they're accusing these two. And the hysterical mother from earlier, who I mentioned, confronts Melanie and says, you know, they said when you got here the whole thing started, and she starts like screaming hysterically, like, who are you? What are you doing here? Until Melanie slaps her.
I think you're evil! Evil!
It's like, you know, even directly in the movie, they're confronting, like, this is your fault. Like, you're not supposed to like each other, and the fact that you're liking each other is causing this to happen. Like, stop, get out, you're ruining all of our lives and you're killing people. So I really liked watching the movie in that way. Like, it just kind of gave some new, like, it just, I don't know, it just showed like some new aspects to the movie that I maybe hadn't really noticed before, however many times that I've seen it. What really gets me in this movie is the lack of score, which makes this movie feel so realistic. Silence right before the birds attack is chilling. Like, there's just this heavy silence, and like it's just that inherent like anticipation, you know, and you don't need music to do that. I'm not saying that musical score is bad or not useful, but this movie is a great example of like sometimes you don't need it. And Hitchcock just takes his time with the scenes in this movie. The scariest for me, and I know I've talked about this before, is when Lydia finds Dan's body. So she takes a little time to walk through the house. It takes her forever to actually get to the room that she finds him in. And when she does, you know, the camera stays on her for a little bit and we see her face slowly panning the room. There's a couple of shots like she takes notice of the window where a bird has crashed through. So we turn and then it's just bam. There's Dan, eyes gouged out, he's dead. And then we are treated to some jump cuts that get us closer and closer to Dan's face. All the while, there is no music while this is happening, and it is just so scary. Like, it's so scary on its own without any music, and it's just the editing alone was terrifying enough, and that scene sticks in my brain all the time. It is up there for me being one of the scenes in horror, all the horror movies I've seen, that scare me still to this day. Also, there's another really good scene like towards the end of the movie. It's when Mitch, Lydia, Kathy, and Melanie are all, they boarded themselves up in the house and they're kind of waiting it out, and you hear all the birds outside. And then all of a sudden the lights go out, and then you just hear the birds like screaming. For lack of a better term, just like screeching and screaming outside. And it's so, again, no music, just scary. Like, it's no wonder I'm scared of birds after seeing this movie so many times. Like, it's just, that's my only explanation, because I watched The Birds when I was young. Overall, I don't care what anyone says, this movie is still terrifying to me to this day. And I don't know why I said I don't care what anyone says. For all I know, everyone else agrees. I don't know. I love this movie. I do. And I just really wanted to rewatch it. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. I love it. IMDb, it has a 7.7 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 96% critic score and an 83% audience score. And on Letterboxd, it has a 3.8 out of 5. You can rent The Birds via Amazon if you would like to. I'll leave an affiliate link in the description. There's no pressure to use that link, but if you do, it does help out the channel a little bit. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here and become a Creepy Peep today. I post videos Monday through Friday, and you can ring that notification bell down there to be notified every time I post a video, even though it mostly never ever works. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strange. Bye. This video is brought to you by all of these awesome Patreon supporters who are listed here on the screen. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you want to find out the perks to being a Creepy Patron Peep, you can follow that link that's in the description box. And if you want to check out more videos, you can click the video that's on the screen right now.